Welcome back, guys. We're here with former pastor Presley Smith. Was just sharing some very, disheartening experiences as it relates to bouncing around, house to house, home to home, friend to friend, and even at one point being judged based on his experiences. He mentioned that he have made the tough decision to travel all the way from Clarendon to Kingston just to have some sense of peace of mind. Presley Smith, catch up back on that.
Yeah, thanks, Barry. So yeah, and I think this is one of the most emotional parts of it for me. It's really emotional talking about this part of it. So while I could get over, the whole jail experience and whatever, there are certain things I that's still taking time to get over with regards to friends and church and all of that, because these were pretty much my inner circle, you know.
Yeah.
My what was now my safe haven was hell. You know what I mean? So yeah, I decided I was going to travel from my sister and my family back in Clarendon to come Kingston and go back and market. That was not easy. To sometimes I have to be up by 4 o'clock to get into Kingston for a 7 o'clock shift.
Wow.
And then at the time Mandela Road is fixed, so the traffic sometimes me not reach Jamaica until 10 o'clock.
Wow.
To try to get something,
Get up
I reach home.
again.
I'm at the house by like say after 12 sometimes minutes to 1. If you get up back and come back, it was crazy. Yeah. I remember going home to Clarendon one day, took a bus, the bus break down on the toll. And this was crazy, I'm like, because at the time a bus driver, pretty much the last bus I would have run from Maypen to go at the house, was there waiting on me. So bus breakdown now. I tell you, man, no way free from Maypen. And people just say, no, yo, them last taxi I left them last bus I left them. I needed a quietness, and I say, God, I'm not in this, I'm not in this, quiet. So they didn't know. The bus driver say, oh, was now come back up and probably well left it there. So I said, what is not this? Start fan down some vehicle now. Fan down vehicle. Nothing. So me just did this, lean up on her, and I said, boy, I'm gonna sleep on toll road. So anyway, with some girl they don't know, and them a fan down vehicle, because them a say for them bus gone, them don't know how them a reach for them yard. Fan down vehicle. Till eventually one highest bus, you know them old minibus there, stop. So the man say, yo, hold on, read them. I say, alright, show me a penny on him. I say, yo, I can't carry everybody, but I can carry a few people who want come. And I say, alright, I gotta go. When we go some bust the door, I want body the people and go pick up one dead body.
What is it?
Then go pick up one dead body. I want funeral home, brother.
Oh, the
Funeral home, and then go pick up one dead body. Then go pick up one dead body. So, you know what I say? No, me not gonna this. What you say? Me not gonna this. And the girl, they must say, boy,
you want to go
taxi probably gone. I'm going to marry to my yard. Me have to go
with the dead
so
body.
my other brother there, and I say, yo, we can't make them girl to do, you know, we can't make them girl look tougher than we, you know. So I say, yo, for now come and go, you know. So I say, we are going about 4 women jumping. Me jumping too with the brother now. And I say, yo, let me look, me I say, just one dead body. I make sure I go sit down in between the two women them, because I say, yo, if me see that body, if I make a shift, if me ever see that the body make a shift, Perry, me I tell you, I say straight Junior, me I run through the bus with that, you know. But eventually got to Maypen in one piece still, man. I tell you, like, when we gone now, I tell you, say Maypen empty. Maypen town empty. Literally, because at the time it was like minutes after 11, it was empty. So I said, yes, sir. Me not have no way for reach up, because to be honest, me not no way for reach up, right? And 2 other girls that they are close to me, and they must say, oh, they not have no way for reach up. You want to know, so the 3 we have to bounce it at Maypen police station for the night.
Wow. Yeah,
so bounce at Maypen police station for the night, and then me couldn't come and work the next morning, so me go straight to my yard, I go sleep. Come as much as me the police, my eye not queen to one bit for the night. Wow. So me go home the man, and me go sleep. You know, I mean, not even did call, thankful then time there. it wasn't the case that no, we have no call, no show, and this and that. So me just go home, not even man up about call manager or nothing. Straight off from my bed. So me, my phone lock off now, my manager call, everybody I say, what go on. Till she call my sister whom I always list as my emergency contact, but my other sister. And my other sister now call, them free for call for my mother now because she love pressure and panic.
Oh, yeah.
And then, so eventually she call my other sister and my other sister that tell me, say, yo, in there man, him good. And I say, oh, sorry, really. So she tell me, say, tell him to call your manager because she afraid because she say, him no normally miss work and him ever early, you know. So I wake up now, call my manager, and she say, yo, man, fretting to come here, say, something wrong with you, you know, or whatever, because I know you're not missing from work and you're not late. I'm explaining it to her, and she say, oh, that rough, and you know. So she was understanding, and she was like, yeah, man, I understand. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. We understand, still, you're good, you know. So that was good, steady and everything, you know, so it was good. So eventually, you know, there, till you know me, I forgot other court hearings and stuff. We went about, to be honest with you, all of 2017, almost every other week with their court. Because they were now having disclosure hearing because they wanted whatever evidence them said them have. The conversation with them said them have, they wanted to see it. You know what I mean? The video with them said them have, they wanted to see it. The pictures of them said them have, they wanted to see it. And every time I go, no picture, no video. The conversation cannot be presented. I remember one time the judge even asked, all right, so who saw the conversation where you saw? Nobody. With the conversation there, we don't have
these questions were directed to who now?
To the mother.
To the mother of the young man.
Yeah. So who saw the conversation that you said you saw? Nobody else. Wait there. We not have it. So you never print it off? No. With the picture them, there are no pictures. So even when the investigating officer came back and showed like, well, them pretty much exhaust all options with them have doing them forensic audit, checking phones, checking social media, WhatsApp, Facebook, all of them stuff here. And no picture, no video, no conversation. So they're like, so we're pretty much just going by what he said then. I'm like, yeah, that's all we have. Whatever I'm saying happen, we have to just go with that.
Wow.
So I'm like, I knew this would happen because I know for a fact that nothing of this nature. So let's see what them have to say, you know. And then eventually, long and short of it is that the stories kept slightly changing little by little until eventually it just was done away with.
Dissolved whole though. So
the
stories changed
because one, there was no evidence to back what was being said, and then the stories kept changing. Right, so if you keep changing a story, there, so things that you said happen at particular times, then all of a sudden you realize now, oh, it's not the particular time, there was another time. You're like, oh, but you need to get this straight. Is it that happened the time there, it never happened the time there, it happened or it never happened, right? So you can't say it happened here, so now, and then later on you say, oh, it never happened here, so something else it happened or something else. That don't make no sense, right? So I'm there and I'm like, every time I go to court, I leave court angry because I'm saying, y'all come and sit down and tell one whole heap of lie. And I'm like, why? If you really want to get rid of me so much, or if me did this something and you have all of this, present them. That's the easiest way to get rid of me. That's the easiest way to lock me behind bars for the rest of my life. Come with the picture, come with the video, come with the conversation. Once you come with them there, I'm gone. Because to be honest, if somebody do me something, I get all of my evidence and I present it. Because if me I get rid of you, I get rid of you good.
Yeah.
You get what I say? Yeah, so eventually now, church, you started hearing one whole heap of things coming from church. Even ministers who were my then colleagues had a lot to say, and who never. So all of a sudden, I start here. Oh, you might did false prophet. All of a sudden, I start here. Yeah, I did know him in there right in a ministry. All of a sudden, you start here whole heap of something, and I'm like, and then again. The friends that were there were just, the friends that I had were just not there.
There's nowhere to be found.
They just dissolved. During that time though, and I thank God for some people, like, I was there and in moments when I thought I was all alone, that was when one of my friends, Philip from Mango Valley, who, we weren't even that close in my eyes, but he reached out to me and he was like, yo, he used to call me Pops or spiritual father. And he was like, yo, they are fearing brother. Me you go by when me know about you. Me no see you as that type. Me you go by when me know me now go go say nothing about that.
So church people who once looked up to you, who once supported you in ministry, you mentioned colleagues, persons.
Yeah, man. Very pastors themselves. Pastors themselves. Some of the very pastors themselves.
They basically
had a lot to say.
And
had a lot to say.
They agreed with some of the allegations that were made.
Some of them jump on it. Because one of the things that this experience taught me is that some persons will always jump at an opportunity to break you. Right? And I've come to learn that some persons, though they didn't say it verbally to you, they are really threatened by stuff that you do, and they saw you as one of their competitors as opposed to colleagues. Even when you now compete with people, people are compete with you. Even when you just do your work and mind your own business, people see you as a threat. When you know business about them, you just have to do what you do and use your God-given talents, abilities, and give things to get stuff done. And people see you as a threat, and then because they want
that spotlight or whatever.
Because Jamaica has this thing now, and I've seen it for the past couple of years, where them feel like people feel like them can cancel you. So every opportunity they get to cancel you, they're going to jump on it to try and cancel you. Right? Yeah. And I think that was what was coming at me. So people started, all right, we'll cancel him. So, I'm a false prophet. Yeah, we didn't know him not right. Yeah, yada yada yada. Him the too friendly. Yeah, him the too hype. Yeah, him the that's and him did all this and whatever. And I'm like, what? Yeah, like this, like I'm like, well, all of them something I come from. And then some of the persons I was hearing stuff from, I was like so disappointed. I'm like, really though? Really? Even some of the very persons I looked up to spiritually, I literally is like everybody just decides to them a cut.
Yeah.
It was like a proper sweep. So I moved from this Joseph experience now where being falsely accused thrown in a prison to now this Job experience where I lose everything and everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool. So even right there and then I felt like, the world shattered. There's no coming back from this. There's literally no coming back. And I was there, broken in so many ways. And as I said, Philip reached out to me, one of my friends, Jody, Christina, eventually reached out to me. One of my other friends who's a pastor, he's still a pastor now, Michael, and another one who's still a pastor now, Lionel, Lewin, they reached out to me, and they would always say a little word. My senior pastor from my home church, Reverend Sims, that man was a tower of strength in the midst of all light, wisdom to tower strength in the midst of all light. And then I had a little circle of friends from high school and pretty much girls. Jessica, Gavette, Lashana, Samantha, Sashana, Shanice. They were with me because we had a WhatsApp group, and they were with me through it all. They were like my run to. I could call on any one of these persons at any time, And I got thanks to them, to be honest with you, along with Rajiv and Kashif, you know what I mean? So I got thanks. And eventually, my senior pastor was like, because I wasn't going to church, I was like, want hatred just build up for church? I said, I hate church people, I hate church, I don't want to deal with them. I got so bitter where church was concerned. And I was there, I was so bitter, I was so broken, I was so hurt. I was out of it in every area of my life. I kid you not when I say I was out of it. And I remember one day I came in from work and at a house in Clarendon, and I was so beat. I was just tired. I got so overwhelmed. I was like, God, I'm tired for wake up 4 o'clock. And I reached back in 12 o'clock after 12. I just like a 3 hours sleep, and I'm tired. I'm not see why I'm going through all of this. And I remember my breakdown, and when my breakdown cried, I turn up on the bed and see the Bible, and I just kiss my teeth and take out the Bible and fling it in on man. Because I'm like, this is how me I live by all of my life. And look how me they know. What the point me I live by all of it? And when I come back to myself and I say, wait, boy, I'm going to take out the Bible now. And like the rage come back and I seal the Bible again, man. I say, like someone say, read it instead of seal it. I was just so hurt that I couldn't, because at that time now I started questioning the authenticity of my relationship with God, and I'm saying, God, Was I doing something wrong all this time? Yeah. Was trusting you the wrong move to make? Was going into ministry even when everybody would tell me, say, yo, don't go ministry first. Go seek a degree in something else first. Build your career somewhere else, and then you can go ministry after when you're ready for settle. And I'm like, was I wrong to not do that and say I'm going to give God my 100%? Was I wrong to do all of that? And right there, I talked to God, and literally out of nowhere, and I know a lot of people don't believe in them things, but literally me hear one voice, just like how me I talk to you, you hear me now? Me one voice just come down to me and I said to me, say, you will not always be broken, you will not always be in shambles, you will not always be hurting, you will not always feel this pain. Stop believing the devil's lies. I never forget those words, never forgot them. And the voice said to me, stop believing the devil's lies. Find my heart and stay there. Do not lose yourself. And when I say that, I'm going to start ball. I'm going to curl up in the bed. I'm going to start ball. I'm going to put on a piece of ball in. Right there, curl up in the bed. And I think that was when everything started. I started approaching things differently. So after that, I started approaching things like, you know what? I'm going to really test to see how faithful God is. I'm going to test to see how faithful God is. So my mission after that was find God's heart and stay there. Don't lose yourself. Don't lose yourself. And Mark, there are instances after that where I probably stepped out a little bit because, you know, for me, the church was no longer there. There was nobody pouring into me. So it's not like before where I was pouring into people, but there were still persons pouring back into me. Yeah. No, I was not being poured into. Any pouring I go on, I have to pour in on myself. Yeah. And it's hard for you to put on one empty cup and tell the cup to fill itself. Yeah. Right? So there are times when I got carried away in things with my unsaved friends or in the secular world. Yeah. But I always found a way, or God always created a way for me to come right back to where I am supposed to be. And He'd always create something to remind me, you know. And at the time, the things that I loved most, I was unable to do. Yeah. So for me, everybody, I love worship. Give me one mic and people and say, yo, let us worship together and lead them into worship. Me not my element. Yeah. Give me one Bible and say preach. Me not my element. Those are things that I love to the core. I live for these things. And I was no longer able to do these things. So I was like, what am I there for then? The things I really love, the things when I can't do without, are the things I'm unable to do. Then my life has served my purpose. So I got suicidal at one point. Wow. Because I was like, I'm not saying my purpose. Yeah. At that time I was like, God, I just don't want to kill me. Kill me. I don't want to be here. I would really prefer to die. I really prefer if I had died. And I went so far back as to thinking, I went even as far back as when I started thinking about the stories that my mother used to tell me when she was pregnant, how she dropped out a bus on her belly, wow. Pregnant, how things that she go through. And I'm like, God, so you saved me from all of them stuff there. Just so I come go through this with a point. Kill me. Take me. Like, I don't need to be here. I don't need to be here. If this is where my life ever come to, take me. That was it for me. Take me. You know? And during those times, almost everything when I write, because I write songs and I write poems and short stories, and everything when I write, the end would always be, take me, kill me. I don't want to be here. You know, but I couldn't find anything to really kill myself or cause myself harm or to inflict wounds on myself. That was never me. But I was like, every day my prayer would have been, God, please may I beg you, find it in your heart if it kill me. I remember so many times I said, God, if you love me the way you say you love me, kill me. Wow. That was how I felt at the time. You know what I mean? I was really broken. I was really broken. And it's not a case where I had anybody to talk to.
And then the church was not there?
No, man, the church was never there. The church didn't give a rat's ass. The only thing the church was there to say what they released in the paper. Say, hey, his stuff has been suspended. The leadership of the church, the New Testament church at the time, are the New Testament church, the leadership, because, you know, somebody being one of your own, you're a minister working for you for a number of years, because I started working in the youth ministry, children's department, pretty much nationally from I was about 15. Wow. So from 15 coming up to, at the time I was 27, and you think the least they would do is say, oh, we are praying for you Not even that. Not even for say, yo, brother, we are pray for you. The church, literally, the story of the Good Samaritan, when the priest are passed, you expect the priest to do something. Well, in this case, that was the New Testament church. The priest passed, and the priest was too good to actually offer a helping and or at least say, yo, we are pray. That was literally the case, right? And during that time, I'm like, I don't see myself going back in ministry because I would never work alongside these people. Because right here, I'm not seeing these whitewashed sepulchres, people preaching up a storm, speaking in a tongues. We're holier than thou, we're closer to God. But at the same time, you see somebody in prison you never visit.
Wow.
You see me naked, you never offer me clothes. I'm hungry, and you never say little food. I'm homeless, and you never say rest here. So pretty much what Jesus did to his disciples. Yeah? But what they forget is that the least you do to these, you do it unto God. Right? So I just left it there, and like right now, at the time I was hurt. Right now, I'm good. I'm in a good place.
Good place,
spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. Well, physically it's obvious. I'm in a good place. I mean, yeah, physically I'm in a good place. Mentally in a good place, or I wouldn't say the best place, but I'm in a good place. Emotionally, again, I wouldn't say I'm at the place, but I'm in a good place, and I'm getting there. I continue to heal. And when I analyze myself year after year, I realize that I'm seeing growth, and I'm also seeing more and more where I'm healing. Right?
Presley, I wanted to ask you, because persons are listening and persons are touched, persons are actually relating to what you've been through, because church hurt is something that a lot of persons have been through. They are struggling with it right now. I know persons are listening and they're feeling you, and what you're saying. But a lot of persons will be like, wouldn't it be the best happily ever after, penned to paper, if you would have gotten back into ministry, you would have shared this from a platform to young people who have been accused or are probably even struggling with what you are accused to have done? Wouldn't it be a better ending to your life as Presley Smith if you went back in church, did what they thought you would never do again, reversing that cancellation process that they thought they would have completed? Why not go back into ministry?
Alright, and I heard you say something, and I don't want anybody to get it wrong. I haven't left church per se, and by church I mean my relationship with God is still intact.
But the physical intact. Being a part of an assembly, or
I still visit, like prior to COVID, because COVID now
kind of shakes.
Yeah. So prior to COVID, I would go to church occasionally. I wouldn't say every Sunday, but I tried to be there most of the time. Since COVID, I haven't been to church physically, but I've been to church online, because that's something that I'm not going to miss. I'm not going to miss online services, right? So if they ask me, what did Reverend Clark preach? I can tell him and preach. If they ask me who was the guest pastor, I can tell him what happened at my church, because I am there watching.
Yeah.
But to say physically there, no. Do I invest in my spirituality as I did back then? No. The amount of time I would invest in building myself up spiritually back then, because back then I spent hours a day in the presence of God, praying, reading my Bible, devotion. I don't do that now. And yes, it would be a grand opportunity to share coming from all of this. But to be honest with you, I am going to say this honestly, the confidence I once had in myself as a minister, it's no longer there. The confidence or that level of faith that I had in the Christian community, not God, because my level of faith in God remains the same. And I would tell anybody now that I trust God more now than I did then.
Wow.
But the level of faith I had in the Christian community, the church, ministry, I do not have it now. Do I see myself doing ministry ever again? It depends on the area of ministry. So preaching, yes, I will go back and preach, right? Contrary to the common belief, because I grew my hair, a lot of persons say, I'm backslide.
Okay.
Far from it. I am with God, and God is with me I kid you not when I
Despite
say,
the growth of
despite the
your
growth
hair.
of my hair, and I keep telling people, my hair has nothing to do with my relationship with God. Cool. God now look at me and say, yo, you can't talk to me because your hair grow. When me and my lay down and be on my knees sometime in a tears to God, and me and God that, and it never stop nothing. He speaks to me, and I've always said to God, since this experience, I always said to God, God, if I step out of your will, take something from me, make me suffer something. But as long as I'm in your will, be faithful to me and provide for me. And I'm quite sure people can look and say, the provisions of God I make for me now, it's obvious there's something about with me and God. Yeah. Right? But as I said, do I see myself in ministry? Yes, I'll preach. I will sing. I will lead people into worship. I will break down biblical scriptures as a theologian and get people to understand the depths of the Bible. Do I see myself pastoring a church? That's a whole different story. Because I do not see myself going back to pastoring a congregation, because I'm not going to have the faith in the congregation like I did before to say, oh, whatever. I don't care how good I was at it before. I don't care how many people want to come preach like Paul and say, oh, go back. Reality is, I am not going back to pastoring a church. That's just the reality. And if you notice, I'm not saying we're done with ministry. Yeah. Because as I said, I will go out there and I'll preach. I will go out there, I will speak, I will go out there, I'll do whatever God wants me to do. Right? But I don't see myself pastoring a church. And if God says, personally, go back to pastor a church tomorrow, because God said it, then I will go and do it. But up to you. If it's up to me, I will never do it. I'll never do it. Because I was doing this. And I will say this, none of the two experiences I had pastoring, none of my two pastorates were good experiences, to be honest with you. I did it out of my love for God and me wanting to see the kingdom here on earth grow. But these experiences weren't good experiences. One, the district overseers I had supervising me were the worst, to be honest with you. They were literally the worst. The members of the congregation, some of them were not the easiest to handle. So if I were to follow the members of the congregation, I would probably have that Moses experience where, because of the church, I miss the promised land.
And you don't want that.
And I don't want that. Right? Me want God the promised land. Me want to see Jesus' face. And leading some church people will send you straight to hell. And I'm not going to put myself in a position for that to happen, especially now, because one of the things with this experience is it causes me not to hold back anything. If I see a spade, I will call a spade a spade. And I'm not going to try to pretty it up, because reality is nobody prettied up anything to come at me with.
Yeah, I understand.
And I'm not going to try to pretty up anything to make people feel good. That's not me. I'm going to tell you like it is. I'm going to call it what it is. So I'm going to call you out on your nonsense. And I'm not going to try to nice it up, because church people like when you make them nonsense look like a something good. And I'm not going to do that, right? So I don't see myself going back into ministry in terms of pastoring, but any other area of ministry, fine, I'll gladly do that, but not pastoring. I'm not going to do that now.
Not pastoring. Presley Smith has shared a lot, and I just want to ask him one last question. I think this is the big question that persons from the very beginning of the series have wanted to know. What is your relationship status now? Are you seeing anybody?
Okay, since 2017, I've been in and out of relationships, quite a few. Yeah, because, and I'll say this, those relationships were some of my ways of dealing with things because of what the relationship brought, right? I recently came out of a relationship, to be honest with you, recently, like very recent, and I am looking now to just spend some time with myself, to rebuild myself, and to just prepare myself for what is coming next, and also the goals and visions that I have. I am, trying to use the time to accomplish those. And at the same time, I am preparing myself for a particular path that our journey that I sense that the Lord is about to take me on. So I am preparing myself for that. So currently, no, I am not dating, but I recently came out of a relationship. Yes.
Presley Smith, former pastor, he has made up his mind to never pastor a church again. The church was never there for him in a sense, but God was there for him. He did declares, and he is moving forward with his personal relationship with God. He concludes that whatever it is that God would want him to do, even if God says, "Hey Presley, I want to pastor a church," then but he said, God forbid. But if it is up to him and his choice and his will, he will never pass a church again. And he has lost some sense of faith in the Christian community, but not in God. Presley Smith has done what a lot of persons are afraid to do, what a lot of persons have never thought of even doing, coming on a public platform and sharing his experiences, calling it what it is, sharing his experiences, the years of accusations, years of pinning something on him that, according to him, is not true. And let me tell you something, I feel encouraged. I myself have my own personal experiences as to how I would have fell in sin, right? And it encourages me that it's not the end of the road. It doesn't matter what you've been through or where you've been. It doesn't spell the end of it for you. And I am encouraged, and I'm sure that persons, whatever you want to think of him, you cannot deny the fact that you were not encouraged or motivated in one way or the other today. Presley Smith, thank you for sharing, brother. And I'm sure the conversations will continue. Definitely. My name is Perry from Perry in Christ. All the best to you all. Stay in Christ. Bye-bye.
Peace out. So I want to say a big thank you to everybody who's been watching, everybody who's been reaching out, everybody who's being supportive. Thank you. It's been quite a journey, quite an experience. It wasn't the easiest to share, but it happened, and all I can say is wow. To be able to talk about it now, that's me in my mind. That's me coming a far, far, far away. Thank you, Perry, so much, for having this sit down with me. It was it was something else. To everybody else who've been supportive over the years, thank you. Monroe, thanks. Reverend Wisdom, thanks. Reverend Sims, thanks. Philip, thanks. Lewin, thanks. Michael, thanks. Jessica, Lashana, Gavet, Shanice, Samantha, thank you. Kashif, Rajiv, Tajay, thank you guys so much. Mooms, thank you. Yo, love one to the sky. I'm back. Enough respect. I appreciate it. And above all, I give God thanks.